In Hong Kong, a court sentences a pro-democracy advocate to more than 1 year in prison. Joshua Wong received a 13-and-a-half-month sentence. Two others were sentenced to several months in jail for organizing protests in the former British territory last year. China has been tightening control on Hong Kong after months of demonstrations. 24-year-old Wong has been jailed before for participating in the protests. Joining me now on Skype to talk more about today's sentencings and their implications is Gordon Chang, author of The Coming Collapse of China. Gordon, welcome back. Always great to have you on the show. First off, I want to get your reaction to today's news out of Hong Kong. What message do you think this sends to those considering criticizing the Chinese government?
Well, Beijing is just trying to silence all opposition, all dissent, all expressions of discontent. And in addition to the sentencing of Joshua Wong and the two others, they also charged Jimmy Lai, the publisher of Apple Daily, which is the opposition newspaper. And that also was another step towards coercing Hong Kong into silence.
Gordon, what else do we know about the charges against Lai and what may be next?
Well, this is absolutely fascinating, Tracy, because in August, he was actually apprehended on suspicion of violating the national security law, which was imposed by Beijing at the end of June, which is draconian. But what they did was they charged Lai just a few days ago, not with NSL violations, but with a fraud violation, which stems from misuse of the lease of Apple Daily. And so I think what they're trying to do is to tar Jimmy's reputation. And I think they're also afraid of charging him under the national security law, because I think they would be concerned about the blowback in Hong Kong society.
What do you think this all says about the current condition and also the future of Hong Kong's autonomy?
Yeah, right now, there is no autonomy in Hong Kong. The national security law was correctly described as the end of law in Hong Kong. So Beijing is directly ruling the territory. Now, that doesn't mean that opposition is ended, because what we have seen, especially over the last month or so, are people in Hong Kong are regaining their footing. They're starting to express discontent, and they're making life miserable for Beijing. And so this is a long-term struggle between the Chinese and the people of Hong Kong. This is really an insurgency. And as we know, insurgencies can melt away at times, but they usually come back. And I think what we're going to see is the people in Hong Kong will once again take to the streets.
Gordon, I want to switch gears just a little bit here. I know that you've also been following reports that the Chinese government may have withheld information related to the COVID-19 outbreak. Are you surprised by these reports? And also, what are we learning from these reports?
Yeah, what is really surprising is that someone took 117 documents from the Hubei Center for Disease Control and Prevention and actually just gave them to a foreigner, in this case, a news organization. And this is an example of, the Communist Party has went to extraordinary lengths to control the narrative about the coronavirus. But the Chinese people are courageous, and they are really struggling to get the truth out. This started in December with the Wuhan 8, those 8 doctors. And there has been a number of instances where Chinese people have actually spoken to the world at grave risk to themselves.
Well, Gordon, thank you so much for coming on. We always appreciate your insight. Gordon Chang, author of The Coming Collapse of China. Thanks again.
Thanks, Tracy.